Perfect. All right, I think everybody can see me and hear me. Let me give it 1 second just so I get everybody loaded in. Let me turn my phone off. All right, awesome. I am so glad that so many of you were able to join on live, and for those of you who are watching the video, I appreciate you catching up. So I wanted to basically take what we've done over the last 2 days and be able to carry that on to getting to the point where we're actually gonna piece our vision board together. And so I have a couple slides that I'm gonna follow, and I will post them in the group for you guys because I'm super visual as a learner and I need to have that in front of me, and I'm sure a lot of you guys feel the same way. But I had you guys make the list of the 10 crazy cool goals you'd like to achieve. And basically the point of this is to hopefully have that list in front of you and revise it along the way. So maybe there's some tweaks that you can make. Some of you might be more experienced because you've been through Chalene Johnson's 30-day push, or you've been through some other course in goal setting, and that's awesome. Some of you have no idea, had the hardest time even thinking of what goals you want to achieve. And so I hope that this will kind of help those people to be able to get caught up with the rest of you who have maybe been in Chalene Johnson's program, to be able to set some goals that are going to be effective and actually achievable in your life over the next 12 months. So one thing I did want to mention, because I saw a lot of people didn't have dates on their goals, I think that that's really important. Not every goal that you guys set on this vision board needs to be a 12-month goal. It can be something that you know you want to achieve by the summer, or you know you want to achieve by March, or whatever the case might be. So don't feel like every single goal that you have on there has to be like this huge, big goal. I apologize ahead of time. You might hear a baby crying in the back, but that's just how life is. So what I want to get started with is the fact that when you're setting your goals, you want it to be something that is something that you're looking forward to achieving. So rather than something that you're giving up, I want it to look like something that you're really excited about, because it's hard to maintain that excitement or the urge to really push through all the challenges that life puts in front of you when it just feels like you're just giving up stuff. So for instance, you know, you're quitting smoking, or you're giving up sugar, or you're losing, you know, pounds or whatever, you're trying to eat healthier. I think that some of the times that is exciting in the beginning because you know that don't make you healthier or whatever. But I really want you to visualize what your life looks like, how much better it is because you stick with those things rather than focusing on what you want to get rid of. So focus on what you want versus what you want to get rid of. And I think that you'll find you are more excited about it and are able to find longevity in those goals rather than just having the short-term willpower. Because I guarantee you, as soon as life starts to get in the way, which it will, you'll lose that urge, and it's just too easy to go back to your comfort zone and do what you've always done, because giving up stuff is not fun. It's not fun to think about all the ice cream you won't get to eat. It's not fun to think about all the withdrawals you're going to have. So make sure that as you're looking at your goal board, it's not something where you have a bunch of lists of things that you need to get rid of. Even like I mentioned, I think a couple days ago with debt, you know, don't just focus on the debt itself. Focus on what freedom gets you. What does it look like? What does your life look like? You know, the elephant on your chest is gone at night, that you get to have restful sleep, that you feel positive about. You know, the fact that you can do fun things with your family every weekend or go on date nights and things like that. What are you going to gain by giving up rather than focusing on what you're giving up or what you're paying off, because that's not as fun to think about. Let's see here. So, okay, I know that we're going to be focusing on going over the S.M.A.R.T goals. I want you to think about how you're going to be able to review these goals on a daily basis. I don't know about you guys if you've ever bought or you've thought about buying a new car, and then all of a sudden you're driving down the road and everywhere you go, you see that car, and you feel like you never saw it before, but now it's like everyone owns one. That's the same way with goals. So basically, when your brain is focused on something and you're constantly thinking about it, your eyes are now open to opportunities to receive that. So I think the more that I look at my goals, the more that I have them in the forefront of my mind, the more my brain, my eyes, everything focuses on finding ways to get to that goal. It keeps me focused on the things that are going to help me achieve that. So what I personally do is I print my vision board everywhere I go, and normally, so I have one in my bedroom, I might have one in my office, I might have one little reminders in my car. I have one actually in front of me, my desk at all times, because I want to have that in front of the forefront of my mind at all times. So think about maybe cutting out little sticky notes. If you know there's this 1 or 2 goals that are really important to you, having those pinned around the house, all those little triggers and reminders make a huge difference as you guys are starting to set your goals. And focus on things that are, take your shoulds, like the things that you should do, like I really should work out more, and focus on making those musts. And I think that that was something that I can tell a story about when I was in serious debt, when I had my daughter London, and we had all these medical bills coming in, and there was, ended up being around $400,000 worth of debt. I sat there and I knew I should have stuck with one of the businesses I had started. I was like a serial entrepreneur, and nothing was successful because I constantly quit. I started and quit everything, literally from the time I was a little girl. And so I had put in my mind that I was a quitter. And I had put in my mind that I was more shy, I was more introverted, so it was hard for me. And I didn't view myself as someone who was super successful. I viewed myself as those things, you know, a quitter and shy, and oh, I get excited about one thing and then I kind of lose steam over it. And so all the times that I had tried and started and always quit things, I had always said that I was those things. And what do you think you're going to get if you constantly focus on all the things and all the attributes that you say are bad about you? And so what I want you to do is instead turn it into a must. And when I resolved, when I had all that in front of me and I looked at my daughter and I thought, oh my gosh, you know, if I continue with this, she is forever going to be living a life based on my poor actions, based on my quitting. And I just resolved, the whole resolution thing, resolved that there was no going back, that I was no longer a quitter, that I was in the past, but I am no longer a quitter, and that I'm not shy at all. You know, like, what do I have to be shy about? I'm introverted. Yes, I do enjoy being in my home, but I love people. Doesn't mean that I don't enjoy people. I just enjoy them in a different capacity than most people. I enjoy people in deep conversations. I enjoy things more than just talking about the weather, but actually getting face to face with people and being able to help them and to be able to listen to them. And I focus on my strengths as more of an introverted person rather than the weaknesses. And I think that's really important as you guys start to look at your goals, figuring out what your strengths are, because we all act consistent with who we believe we are. If you believe that you're a quitter, trust me, eventually your actions are going to take place and you're going to continue to be a quitter. But if you just resolve that that is no longer who you are, and you focus on telling yourself all the great strengths that you have, you will start to act in that area. One sec, I'm going to switch my slides. So I wanted to, rather than just assume that I'm going to make up goals, I actually wrote down a few that I saw on people's vision boards, and I'm not going to point anybody out. But I had a few that I know needed to be switched up. And so I was going to use those as examples as I go through the SMART goals. And what I'm going to do is actually put the SMART thing on screen share. One second. Sorry about that. My computer's giving me a little delay. All right. Maybe it's giving you crazy. All right. Well, that's not going to work, is it? So I will go ahead and post this in the group as well then. The whole SMART goal thing is that your goal is specific, the who, what, when, where, why, defining the goal as something that's possible, and you know exactly what it is, that it's measurable, it has a start date and an end date, that is attainable. We talked about this, that it's something that you can actually achieve in the amount of time it's been done before, the amount of time that you're going to be doing it with still honoring your priorities, that it's relevant, it's worthwhile, it's important to you, and that it's timely, that you know when you're going to be doing it. So one of the things that I saw on here was one of the goals was spend quality time with their boys, and I'm guessing that's their kids. And that's an amazing goal. And of course, I think most parents want to spend more quality time with their children. But the problem with that goal is that it's not defined enough. I don't know when that's actually going to be achieved. What does that look like? You know, how could you say you're actually honoring that goal and being able to say, okay, I absolutely did what I said I was going to do? Because that could look a lot of different ways for a lot of different people. So for me personally, I had a goal that I would go on a date with my daughter, and that we would go once a week and go do something fun, specifically just us two, or with me and my husband and her. And she's 7.5 and just had a new sibling. So that's gonna be really important this year because she's always been an only child, and now all of a sudden she's gonna have to share us. So that could be something that you could put on your vision board, that over the next 3 months, once a week, you're going to go on a special date with your children. And then at 3 months, you can reevaluate and say you need to either do more or less, or you can change it up. But having that specific thing shows you that you can actually cross that off. Because at the end of the year, if you had spent random time with your kid, you don't really know if you actually checked off that goal. I think it's really important that it's very specific what you're doing and how you're doing that. The same goes thing with your faith. I saw somebody else post, they want to spend more time with God. What does that look like? Is that getting up and spending 15 minutes in the Word every morning? Is that going to church every Sunday? Is that being a part of a small group? What does that look like specifically, so that you can be able to say, I 100% achieved that goal and honored that goal. Another one that I saw that people had posted was, I want to be financially stable. And that's another thing with the specifics. You need to dig deeper into that. What does that look like for you to be financially stable? Is that, you find a second source of income to be able to pay off credit cards and be able to earn an extra $10,000 a year? Is that, that you are able to cut back on some of your spending and focus on, couponing or whatever it might be, to cut some spending out of your life to be able to, and what specifically, do you need to save, or what specifically do you want to be able to go and do once you become financially stable? Those type of goals are what I'm looking for. Because otherwise it's sort of in the abyss, like I would say I'm financially stable, but I want to say I remember when I was starting as a Beachbody coach, one of my first goals was to have a savings account that had $1,000 in it. It was a big deal for me. I'd never had $1,000 in my bank account before. And then it was to save $5,000. And then it was to save $10,000. And then it was to save $20,000. And at each of those goals, as I hit those milestones, I would reward myself with something. I'd reward myself with a fun trip. And I would always make sure that whatever I had saved, I had to go above and beyond that to be able to go on that trip, or to buy that. $20,000, I bought myself my first Louis Vuitton purse. And I know it seems like you're spending money and your goal is to save money, but honestly, that was a really fun milestone for me to push after, because I know I had something fun at the end that I could celebrate with. And also it gave it much more meaning. I still have that bag to this day, and it represents a lot to me because I worked my butt off to get that purse. It wasn't just some random buy that I put on credit card like I might have done in the past. Becoming more consistent with your business. That was one I saw on both coaches and non-coaches vision boards. And that's one that, and again, it's not specific and measurable enough. You need to be able to say what that looks like to you. Is that you wake up, and every morning that you invest an hour, your first hour, spending time doing your power hour where you're knocking out all your to-dos? Is that you are doing 3 business calls a week, and that you are doing a coach call once a week, or whatever it is that looks like consistency to you in your business? You need to write those things down so that it's very defined and you can say whether you did it or not. Otherwise, any of you who are entrepreneurs, whether you're Beachbody coaches or whether you own your own business or whatever it is, I will say, as somebody who's been an entrepreneur now for 6+ years, almost 7, you can either work all of the time or you can work none of the time. And that's one of the strengths and weaknesses about this business. I have the freedom to where if I decide not to do this call, I don't have to do it. Nobody's going to hold me accountable to it. I don't have any managers. Nobody's going to fire me. But I can also be up at 3, 4, 5 in the morning working my butt off, and I don't get necessarily anybody clapping or raising their hands to the roof to me. I can work all the time, or I can work none of the time. And so you have to really define what you're working for and when you're going to be working, and make sure you have those things in place to where they hold you accountable to what you said you wanted to do. So start to look over your 10 goals or your 12 goals, whatever you decided to set, and ask yourself these questions. I'm going to post, like I said, that SMART goal thing, since I can't get the slides to pull up, for you guys to be able to check yourself. And if there's any of them that I see, that are popping out to me that I think, need to be dug deeper into, I will definitely point it out. But like I said to you guys earlier, there's a lot of you. So I have to kind of pick and choose when I see something that I'll be pointing out what I see. Dug deeper into, I will definitely point it out. But like I said, whoops. Oh, sorry guys. All right, so I'm gonna go to the group now and just pull from random ones. But I did want to mention, I was thinking about it last night and making sure, we talked about this whole thing right here, the priorities and your goals. And I will say one of the big ones for me, I'm super competitive, and with Beachbody business, and I already told you guys my intrinsic priority is work. Realizing this year I entered a different life stage and saying, okay, I've been top 10 for 5 years. This year would have been 6. And it came down to the very final month, and I had just had a baby, and I had told myself in the very beginning of the year that I wasn't going to push for top 10 because I knew I wouldn't be able to go on the trip. I have a small baby, and I knew it was time to not focus on that anymore. But the competitive side of me came out, and I was like wanting to jam it through. Like, come on, I can push for it. But I had to really keep myself in check by saying, okay, I'm going to miss out on my daughter's first and second months of life to push for a goal for a trip I can't even go on, and to do something that is going to knock somebody else out that can go on the trip. Why? Because I'm competitive. So I think that you guys make sure that with your goals, you do go through them again and check yourself with these priorities and make sure that it's something that's going to drive you. And then also, not every single one of those goals is going to be your top priority. So what I want you to do is really go through and find the 3 most impactful ones. I know Shalene always talks about the 1 push goal. I have a hard time limiting it to 1 because I feel like I have so many really important facets in my life. Basically my top 3 priorities. So maybe take your top 3 priorities and find the 3 goals that align with each one of those, and make those your number 1 focus that you're focused on, and then the rest of them sort of will fall into place. I know Shalene says you need to focus on your push goal. That'll be the thing that will help most of the other goals come to fruition. It's the same thing I'm talking about, except for I've always just done to where it's 2 or 3 of them are my big focus for the year, and they tend to let everything else fall into place. So after you go through your goals and you do look at the SMART goals and you say, okay, I've actually got these to where they are defined, they are measurable, they have a start and an end date, and they are really important to me. I'm excited about them. When I think about them, I get butterflies in my stomach, or it makes me want to wake up early in the morning and do things that I wouldn't normally want to do. Then it's time to really define which 3 of those are really, really important to you that would, make the rest of them happen. Sorry, I'm having technical difficulties. I think it's internet problems. And I did make a live post about this the other day because it was my first day working out, and literally everything came against me. And that's just what's going to happen. And that's why it's so important that you have those really exciting dreams, because that's the only thing that's going to keep you going. If it wasn't a priority to me, if it wasn't important to me, I would just bounce. I don't know if any of you guys know this, but I've had mastitis, I don't know how you say it, for a few days now, and crazy high temperature. But I'm still here doing this because it's really important to me. I'm something I'm very passionate about. And so I think that's another thing to look at when you're looking at your goals. Okay, I think it finally pulled up. Okay, I know that not everybody on here is coaches, but I do want to say this. Coaches, I will tell you that when you're setting Star Diamond ranks, I would rather you focus on volume ranks, because I've seen so many businesses built on just wanting to get to a higher rank, but they don't have the depth that it takes to create volume, which obviously volume equals income, it equals lives changed. The higher your volume, the higher people are actually out there changing their life for the better. And income, at the end of the day, even though people don't like to talk about it, helps you achieve a lot of dreams. If you want freedom, if you want to be spending quality time with your family, doing fun stuff, you kind of need income. So I would, not that you can't set goals for 3-star, elite, whatever. But make sure that you have volume goals in there as well. And if you don't understand how the volume works, I think it's really important that you go on YouTube and that you learn all the ins and outs of that, because that really is the key to success. And it's what makes it fun, because it's so trackable. You know, you can see your income going up or down each week. Whereas a Star Diamond ranking is kind of out of your control. It's coaches deciding to go diamond themselves. So make sure that you are setting goals that, like I said in the last broadcast, are achievable for you, that you have control of. Rank goals, let me tell you, because I have 4 business owners that have been at 15 Star Diamond at one point. They shift, you know, they shift up and down. Sometimes things are really great, and sometimes things are like, whoa, the wall is falling. So you have to make sure that you focus on what you control. Otherwise, it's super defeating and super frustrating. Also, if you are a brand new coach and you've never hit Success Club, but you're setting a goal of elite, I highly suggest you check yourself, because it's going to be very difficult to ask your team to do anything that you're not doing. I know I see a lot of my coaches setting really super high goals, and trust me, I am like the queen of big goals. I would never discourage someone from setting big goals, but what I do discourage them from is, if you are not doing the basics of what it's going to take for your coaches to be successful, you got to start there. Because otherwise it's going to be a really defeating process, and you're not going to be inspired to achieve that, because it's not even going to feel like it's achievable. You won't even start getting emails about elite until you're a diamond coach, and you won't start getting elite points until your coaches are hitting Success Club, or your coaches are having success and that you're hitting Success Club. So make sure, I'm just focused, I have one pulled up right now. Make sure that you are at least doing those basics before you actually go and set that as a goal. Let's see here. Donating to charities, another one that should be specific. Like, what is the goal to donate? Is it to donate $100 a month? Is it to donate $10,000 in a year? Is it to donate to a family at Christmas? Is it to go and actually give your time? So whatever that might be very specific on what that looks like, and how much time and how much money and which charity. That'll even get you more excited, because when you have a very specific thing that gives you butterflies in your stomach to pay it forward to, let me tell you, I've had some big goals with that too. It fires me up. I always set, like, some of the huge goals I have, always have a certain amount I want to donate at the end of that, and it always fires me up. Let's see, look at this person's. Okay, she's got some good ones. So one of hers is to stay consistent with my diet and workouts for the next 120 days nonstop. And I love that. Is that, like, the only thing I would switch it to is to say, like, what does that look like? Is that 5 out of 7 days you're eating clean and working out? Is that 7 out of 7? Is that 4 out of 7? Whatever it might be for you specifically, give yourself something to hit, you know, that you were doing that. Because otherwise, I don't know about you guys, but I totally will tell myself, like, okay, I have one cheat meal a day or one cheat meal a week. If I don't define it, then I'm like, well, I'll just do Saturday instead of Sunday, and then I start to work things in so I can figure out a way to cheat the system. So the more structured your system is, the better you're going to follow it, and the more you're going to know whether you're following it or not, and that's really important. Let me click out of this person's. Let me go to another, and then I will close things out. I don't want to keep it too long. Oh, if you do have something like a new car or something like that, go and be so specific. I will tell you, I had a car on my vision board that was crazy for a long, long time. And I would envision myself driving that car, and I would go and look, you know, go to the dealership and actually go test drive it. And the more I had that in my mind, the more real it became to me. And literally to this day, that car is in my garage. So you just never know, but you have to have that in front of you, very specific, very concise on what it is that you want. And the more you are very specific, the more that thing will be attracted to you. Just like I said with that analogy with the cars, you just start to notice that stuff everywhere you go. Your brain starts to find ways to get to that thing that you're focusing on. Like I mentioned The Secret the other day. It's a video and a book. what you focus on expands, what you focus on, you attract. And if you're focused on your goals and you're focused on your strengths and you're focused on all the things that it's going to take to get there, you will get there. It's just a matter of staying consistent long enough to get there. I'm going to go to the board. If you guys have any questions that pop up, let me know. Oh, I wish I could screen share. I want to show you guys my daughter's vision board, which PS, if you do have children and they are, you know, a few years old, try to see if they can do a vision board with you, because honestly, it was so fun putting it together with London. She came up with ideas that I thought were pretty funny. Some of them were so easy, like she wanted to see her cousin, which lives 5 minutes from us. And so I had to help her to dream bigger. So that became a goal to have one of her cousins fly down that is living in Tennessee. So that is one of her vision board things. Another one is to take a trip to London. Her name is London. Another one was to have a random dance party at a roller skate rink. So it's a fun activity to do with your kids for sure. I'm trying to look if you guys have any questions. A month as a time. Is it okay to use a month as a time frame, or do you need a deadline? I think you can do a monthly goal. And I actually think the more that you guys, once we set these goals, on Friday, we're going to talk about breaking them down, because that is really important. That's been a super big contributor to my being able to achieve my goals, is figuring out, okay, how do I break that now into, let's say that's a 6-month goal. How do I break that goal down into a monthly action plan? And how do I bring that monthly action plan into a weekly action plan? And how to bring that weekly to a daily, to know what I'm supposed to be doing? Because I understand that life gets crazy and it's just easy to avoid the things that you're supposed to be doing. And sometimes you just don't know what you're supposed to be doing. So that's what we're going to talk about on Friday. Perfect. Don't know that I see any more questions, but I am going to post those 2 pictures of the vision board and my slides in the group. And I want to see if you guys had any revised stuff from what we talked about today. If you have something on your goal sheet that you're like, ugh, I gotta revise this, post it in the comments below so that I can look at it. And those ones I can probably check through to see the revised options. If I'm a coach now and setting a goal to be 5-star diamond by Summit 2018, is that reachable? So if you're a brand new coach and you want to be 5-star by the Summit 2018, it is achievable to do in 2018. If you're a brand new coach in 2017 and you're wanting to achieve it this calendar year, it's not unachievable. I have a coach, Brittany Leggett, who was able to achieve that. However, it is very rare. So you would have to seriously work. Brittany went full-time within a month or so, and she is an incredible leader, just naturally gifted. And so I would say elite to me for a new coach starting in 2017 is a goal that you should put for 2 years. So if it's 2017 right now, you're a brand new coach, it should be, your goal is to be a 2018 elite coach. So by the end of 2018 that you have all the standards to hit elite. I don't think it's something that I would focus on in a year. And I also want you to ask yourself, what does that even mean to you? Like, what do you think? I think a lot of times in this business, a lot of people think certain ranks mean certain income, or what does it mean to you to be that rank? And maybe then you can focus on different goals that aren't necessarily around that. Because I know some people who are 5-star that make less money than someone who is a 2-star. Because that person that's a 2-star, hey, they might not have as many diamonds yet, or they might have all their diamonds on one side. Or that person has a lot of customers, and their coaches have a lot of customers. They're really challenge group focused rather than recruitment focused. And they've got a booming business. They've grown a really strong, weak leg, and they're making consistent income versus the person who maybe is 5-star. They signed up their mom and their husband, and they built their businesses with them. And now they've got like 1 or 2 semi-business building diamonds, and that are not creating a lot of duplication or volume. And those people are struggling back and forth, falling in and out of ranks, and they're not feeling as stable as the person that is the 2-star, if that makes sense. So just know that wrinkles are a little bit fleeting. And I only say that because I've had a lot of wrinkles and I saw how frustrating it could be. So that's the only reason I say if you have a wrinkle, I want you to have a backup goals to support whatever you think that rank has in store. So if you think of that rank as a certain income, you need to break that down to figure out what you need to be doing in volume to make that kind of income. Does that answer your question, hopefully? Is setting a goal to have 10 active coaches on your team better than saying 1 star? So to be a 1-star diamond, 10 active coaches is basically what it takes, close to what it takes to be diamond. So if you wanted to say I have 1 diamond, 4 emeralds, and 10 active coaches, that could be something that you could do. You could cross it off as you go. So, you know, now you have 8 active coaches. So now you need 2 more active coaches. And, you know, as you're looking at that way, I think that's better than just saying a wrinkle. It could be that you're going to have 3 new coaches a month, or that you're going to find 5 new challengers a month, or you're going to hit Success Club 10 every single month, or you're going to grow your volume on your weak leg to be 1,000 a week. So stuff like that is very measurable. It's very easy to look in your Coach Online office and be able to check that off. Same thing goes with people who maybe have, I know some people on here have Etsy businesses. It could be a certain amount of sales per month, or a certain amount of followers that you're going to grow on your like page, or a certain amount of referrals that you're going to get, whatever it might be. So whatever your business is, or whatever the thing is that you're trying to grow, just make sure that you're breaking it down into very finite standards to be able to check off. Oh, gotcha. Business builders. Gotcha. So another thing, and this is the last thing because I don't want to take much time. And I know this refers to coaches again, but I know there's a lot of you guys on. So when it comes to business builders, I don't count someone as a business builder until they are at least getting points on the board, Success Club points on the board. A lot of people say they're business builders, but they lack the activity to show that they actually are. And so until someone starts to at least get Success Club points on the board and really honestly start to hit Success Club consistently, I don't really view them as a full-on business builder. Now, that doesn't mean they'll never be a business builder. It just means that, you know, we've got to get them taking the activities to be able to at least get 1 point on the board, because that means that they had someone join them in a challenge group or join them as a coach, and it helps them to push forward in their business. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to bounce off because I don't want to go too long on these, but I will be seeing you again tomorrow, and I look forward to answering any questions you guys have. See you soon.